Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to just start, and I apologize for being a little bit late. The good news is when someone like myself comes and speaks, if we start late, you don't got to listen to me as long, right? So that's kind of a good thing, I think. I see a lot of people I know, and my name's Craig Laird. For those of you who don't know me, I am now working with a program called Gospel Tracks International, which I know you guys are very heavily involved with. Marion Bailey, of course, is one of y'all's elders, serves on the board of directors for GTI. And so today being Mission Sunday, I came to speak. Actually, I'll tell you the truth. The reality is, I don't know if y'all know or not, but do y'all know Debbie Nail, sitting back here? Okay, y'all keep Debbie. Debbie is my first cousin. Okay, and her mom is my dad's sister, and they were right in line. They were like real close in age, and there's like 12 of those siblings, and we have like between us, I don't know, we probably have 40 or 50 cousins. I don't know, something like that. But I'm Debbie's favorite cousin, and ever since she moved up here, she's been begging the elders to invite me to come and talk. So you can thank Debbie, or you can gripe at Debbie. I'm just joking. I'm probably not even the top 40, and there's only 45 of us. So, nevertheless, we'll get started here. It's great to see you guys. I want to start with a word of prayer, please. Father, thank you so much for this time together today. We're so thankful for this congregation here at Farmington. We're thankful for the shepherds that serve here. We're thankful for the ministers. We're thankful for all the servants, the deacons, their families, each member. We're thankful that you've given us a beautiful day to assemble. We're thankful for the beautiful change of the seasons, this beautiful place that we live. Father, we're thankful most of all for your son Jesus and what his sacrifice means for us. We're thankful for this special day here as Mission Sunday, and we're thankful that I could be here. I'm thankful to get to come and talk about one of the many ministries going on in the brotherhood. And we pray that you'll bless us today. Pray these things through your son Jesus' name. Amen. And I apologize for not bringing my wife, but she is a marketing teacher at Prairie Grove, and she sponsors the DECA. And today she's in Orlando, and so she flew out there Friday. And so, if anybody has any leftovers for the next week, and you want to bring them by my house, that'd be wonderful, because I'm doing a lot of takeout for the next 7 days. Gospel Tracks. I want to get started here. You guys, most of y'all know probably. I hope I don't insult your intelligence by talking about GTI. I want to give you a little bit of history about our program. First of all, if you guys recognize these pictures, this is Randall Castleman on your right and Bobby Dockery on the left. Both very well-known preachers, been up here in Northwest Arkansas a long, long time. Back in 1973, they had an idea, and that idea was to, and it was kind of, a lot of it was based on Bobby's brother Tom Dockery, who was a missionary in Ghana, indicated how the tremendous need for Bible materials, Bible literature in West Africa. And of course, at that time, Tom Dockery was a preacher for Center Street, and then he had gone over to be a missionary there. And of course, many of y'all may not know, but Tom tragically was killed in a plane crash shortly thereafter in about, when was that, 1975, 6, somewhere in there. Anyway, so Bobby is Tom's brother, and so they had started this work. They bought a printing press, and that's just kind of an old printing press I found a picture of. I'm sure it wasn't exactly that one. And they actually put that printing press in the Center Street. One of the Center Street allowed them to keep it there in the building there at Center Street. Going on from there, I don't know if that's big enough to see or not, but when I got to take my glasses off to see up there. So, because this is really small on my paper, so I can't see all that. But anyway, they kind of, after the passing of Brother Tom, things kind of died down, and at that time also Randall Castleman got pretty heavily involved with the radio station, so I think he actually owned the radio station there for a while. Anyway, they kind of died out there for just a little bit, but then they were contacted in 1979 by the Hillcrest Church of Christ in Neosho, Missouri. And they contacted Bobby and Randall and asked if they could, they said, we really would like to, you guys to start this thing back up, start printing and sending literature, mainly to Africa at that time. And so they needed someone to oversee the work because they wanted to grow. So they actually asked, Neosho, the congregation, was going to oversee it, but Bobby was employed by the Baldwin Church of Christ at that point, and so Baldwin agreed to house the facility, to have the printing press, to kind of have the facility for Bobby to work out of there. Then, that was in 79 and 85. Many of y'all know Rob Hadley. I saw his grandbaby on the screen a while ago if y'all were coming in. So a lot of y'all know Rob Hadley, he came on part-time there to work as a youth minister and with the Gospel Tracts program in the mid-'80s. Later on, a man named Ken Mills, many of y'all may know him, came on board. Fast forward on to 2014, Bobby Dockery, he's retiring from Baldwin at this point. And so, but the work was in essence kind of his, as the pioneer, as the brainchild of GTI. What are they going to do now? So it was decided that since he was going to retire from Baldwin, that they needed now another way to handle Gospel Tracts. So they formed a board of directors, and that's what Marion's part of, and that's how they came to relocate out in Elkins. They actually at first rented a facility in 2014, and then just a few years later, I think about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5, 6 years ago, they actually bought their own property and built, and we now have our own facility there. Back in the summertime, this past summer, as many of y'all know, all of you probably know, Rob's wife Karen passed away, and he had some life changes going on, different goals in mind, and so suffice to say, he decided that he no longer wanted to be working with GTI, and so here I am. I started in January. There's our facility that we have out there in Elkins. If you haven't been out there, I would encourage you to drive out and see it. It's a big place. We got a lot going on. It doesn't. You walk in, it's kind of an office / warehouse, and it serves a lot of purposes. We have a kitchenette in there. In fact, I would encourage you guys, if you want to have an opportunity to come out and maybe a ladies' devotional group, come out and visit. We've had Center Street's done that, and so I would encourage you to come out and see what we got. We got a lot going on, and it's a really neat setup. Of course, I've already talked about the board of directors. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Marion is actually vice president. Sorry, Marion, I didn't give you all the props I should have. Okay, so he's not just a board member; he's an officer. And many of y'all might know J.C. Self. J.C. actually lives on property right there adjacent. I'm pretty sure J.C. actually donated the land to GTI. He's been part of Gospel Tracts since its inception, I think. And so he's still out there and comes and works. And of course, all those members you see, Alan Cohorn's at Center Street. Bobby is now relocated to Searcy. That's why I should have mentioned that. The reason that Rob first took over as director was Bobby and Meredith decided to relocate to Searcy to be closer to Luke and Jared. And so that's where they are now. They still come up and work with GTI. In fact, they have a little apartment upstairs in the building. If you come up and look, we'll show you. They come up and stay. They got a little pull-out bed, and they got a television and a little office upstairs. And so Yeah, I think it's kind of their home away from home. Brother LaFerney, he's at what is now, what's it called, I think, Cornerstone, used to be Baldwin. Jack Harriman is at Center Street. He was preacher there for a long time. Ron Ramey is at Winslow, and Bob Spa is at Bella Vista. And the reason I wanted y'all to see this is because I want you to understand that this is I think it just shows that we're a very diverse group, and we have all of these congregations that are involved or heavily involved with GTI. It's not just a one church show, as you can see by looking at that. So some important numbers, since we started in 1974, we've had 60 million. We surpassed that mark, I think, in February. And I think to date, since January, since I took over, we have printed 851,000 this year. My goal, we've been averaging 1.2 million every year. Some of y'all may know I used to coach. I guess once a coach, always a coach, and coaches have to set goals. That's kind of our thing, personal best and all that. I got some track guys out here, and so you want a goal, right? Well, if they were averaging 1.2 million production per year, if that's what Rob Hadley did, if that's what Bobby Dockery did, well, I'm gonna beat that because that's what I do, right? So my goal is 2 million this year, and we are on track for that, Lord willing. We have, I'm going to show you some titles here in just a moment. We have over 500 different titles in our arsenal, and we've got several we've got 100 or so out on the shelves, and then we've also got some just saved as PDFs and different things on our computers that we can send on by request. 8 different languages. I'll show you some of those in just a moment. The big ones are French, Russian, Spanish, of course English, and then we've got some in Telugu, which is a language they speak in India. We've got a couple other languages that I'm not sure I can pronounce. I'll show those to you. We send to 18 different countries on a regular basis, whether it's every month or whether it's every other month. We're shipping boxes. You'll see picture boxes in just a minute. And then we have 75 other countries that we do just kind of as needed. So, but we've got 18 that are regular. I know that you guys, one of the men that you guys support in Uganda, thank you. In Uganda, we send stuff to him on a regular basis as well. So he'd be included. Uganda being that 18 number. You see down there on the bottom, I just took some pictures of some of our tracks there. The other language you see down there on the bottom, and I think there's one other I didn't include, but Ukrainian's one. There's a language they speak in Zambia. There's a language they speak in Ghana, and language they speak in Nigeria as well that we produce in. And so one of my goals it probably wasn't just mine, but one of my hopes is to, and I've been discussing with different people on the ground. We've started working with the Philippines. I'll show you some of that in just a moment. Is trying to get more languages, trying to get things translated in other languages so it can be out there better. Because I've even talked to a friend of mine that used to be at Center Street. He's got a missionary in Bulgaria. So we're try to do some things where we can get in more languages so we can get these things in more hands. I'm not going to go through all of our titles, but I want you to see we have some relevant, besides just the fundamentals of Christianity, we have some other things that are relevant to today. We have 2 or 3 different publications on Islam, of course, the What Must Do to Be Saved. We have things about instrumental music and the worship of the Church of Christ, how we are supposed to worship, things like Catholicism, infant baptism, how often we take the Lord's Supper, what is the Lord's Supper, and things like that. So I put that in so you can kind of see that it's not just, it's very basic at its core. We want to seek and save the lost, but it's much deeper than that. We want to help young congregations. We want to help young Christians. We want to help schools, preacher training schools. And so you'll see and you'll realize that or you should understand that these are used in preacher training programs. They're used in children's schools and so forth. much it costs. It costs about 10 cents, and now it used to be 5 cents when they first started, but cost of shipping, and that's the major part, is the shipping. In fact, I will tell you, we're trying to talk about, we're looking into sending out a publication. We send out a seeker. I'll come back to that in a second, but just sending out newsletters. I'm getting loud there. Get a little, thank you, Rodney. And so we've got a company. We were going to try to see if we can send out a newsletter every quarter besides our quarterly seeker. And I'll show you that in just a second. Here's my point. We contacted a company called Melco about what it would cost for them to do the folding, put them in the envelope, if we provided the envelopes and the publication, and they would provide the labor and the postage. And I think the cost of labor was going to be like 15 cents per publication, okay, for them to do the labor. And all the rest of that cost was going to, and I can't remember now, I should have brought this up. That's the worst mistake you can make, is go off script. Sorry, I went off script. But we're not going to send out newsletters right now because the postage is so high. Because we're going to try to send out like somewhere in the neighborhood of 4,000 or 5,000 letters, and we could do the labor, no problem. I mean, we could get some volunteers to work on the labor, but the postage is so outrageous. We just don't feel like that's what we need to do right now. It is to I hate to say waste it, but to advertise, because postage is so high right now. So even with the cost of postage, this 10 cents per tract, that is publication, that is printing, shipping, everything. Okay, so it's still a very, very economical way to spread the gospel for people to read. So I want to spend the next couple minutes just talking about how what it takes, and this is not earth-shattering, but I want you to understand that we rely a lot on volunteers. Okay, and I know we have. Brother Marion was just telling me a while ago, we've got several folks here that are very big volunteers. They're very a big part of what we do, because we can't do it. There's by ourselves. There's not enough people. There's myself, and we have a lady, a receptionist. We're the only 2 employees, and everything else is voluntary. We print, and printing's the easy part, and that's the fast part. We can print, and that's the other thing. My goal is to produce 2 million this year. Well, it doesn't do any good to print them if they're just sitting in the warehouse. That doesn't do us any good. That doesn't do the lost any good. That doesn't do the churches any good or missionaries any good. So we got to get them, after we print them, then we got to fold them. Okay? And we have 2 different types of fold. We have the trifold. I'm going to demonstrate this, if I may. So on a trifold, when y'all know what a trifold is, right? You fold it over like this, fold it over like this. You got to fold that. Okay? And they do have machines for this. And we do have a machine. We have a couple of volunteers that have a machine at their house, and they do this. The problem is you got to run it through twice. Okay, you run the first fold through, and you run hundreds and hundreds through, and you got to run it through again. And the second fold is always tough, because the machines are finicky. Different paper is slick, and I didn't even understand this. But different paper, even though it's the same exact paper, it just handles different. So it'll clog up, and you got to pull it back out, and it's a tremendous hassle. It's hard. Okay. The other kind of folding that we do is you fold it 2 ways. You fold it like this, and you fold it like this to make it an 8-page. Let me show you that again. So divide it into 4s right here. You got 4 on this side, 4 on this side. You fold it down, and you fold it this way, and now you have an 8-page tract. Okay, which is great. And you can get more on these than you can on the trifold, because there's 8 pages instead of 6. And so, but once you do that, the folding, then you've got a staple to hold them together. That's where our volunteers volunteers come in. They come in on Thursdays, and some do it from home, and they staple the seam so the seam will stay together. Now you've got this, you've got to cut this top off so you can turn the pages. Okay? So I've got it all folded, but you can't get all 8 pages because you'd have to, so you got to cut. You got to put it on the cutting machine. We have a nice big machine to cut the things. That doesn't take long because we can do, hundreds at a time. Then we got to pack them in the boxes, and we stuff them in the boxes. I mean, we if we're going to spend the time and the money to ship, we're going to get as much in the boxes as we can. We have a certain size box that we use, and we stuff it as full as we can. But of course, that we do still pay by the pound. Okay, so that takes a little bit of time to pack the boxes, and then we ship. Okay, so that's kind of the steps that we take. Okay, so this is where our volunteers come in. I shared with you kind of why, how we produce. And like I said, the printing's the easy part, and the printing is the cheap part. Very economical, but it's getting them in the hands of people that's going to be tough. So they came up with this term based on the book of Philippians 4, verse 3, that the people that work in our program or with Gospel Tracts, they're kind of known as true yoke fellows. Okay? I think it's interesting, too, that in the American Standard Translation, they say, help these women. Okay? True yoke fellow, help these women, for they labored with me in the gospel. And we have a lot of women that are heavily involved with Gospel Tracts. And I think one of the reasons for this is because it's it's a good social time. Okay, and it's not labor intensive. It doesn't take a lot of sweat. You don't got to put on your weed-eating clothes and your boots and your eye protection to go out and work like we do in service projects. It's a very easy service. You sit at a table, you fold, and you talk, and that's what I like about this. And I think our women that come out, our men like to staple. The men that come out on Thursdays. And I know Bella Vista has a group that does it. They come and pick up 15, 20 boxes a month. They take them back up to Bella Vista, and they have a work day on Thursdays up north. Okay? And for whatever reason, the men like to staple. I don't know. I guess it's physical. They like to staple. I don't know why that, But, and the older women and the older men don't do it. It's hard for them to staple. You got to get like certain angles because it's hard on your joints and things. And unless you're in your 70s or 80s, you don't even know what I'm talking about. But trust me when I tell you, because I've seen it. I've had to go and physically get. Y'all know Ken Cruda, Karen Hadley's daddy. Ken comes out, and so I've had to get him a higher chair because so he can get a better angle on the stapler because Ken's either 89 or 90, and so but he's still working. He's still working, and that's what's cool about a program, I think, because we need more volunteers than we do money. Let's put it that way. And y'all like hearing that, don't you? When someone comes and talks about their mission, you like hearing that, but we do need money still. Okay. So this lady right here, Justina, I want to talk about her. This is Justina Gibson. That's one of her grandchildren. Her and Fred Gibson, her husband. They have a couple of machines in their house. They actually turn their garage into a workstation, and so they work every week. They probably fold with their machine probably 40 or 50 or 60,000 tracks every week, and then they bring them in. And then they take more boxes home to fold more. And they're volunteers. Let me tell you what they do. They come out every Thursday. They're there before all the volunteers get there. They're there probably about 7:30 or 8. They don't leave until probably 12:30 or 1. The volunteers leave at 11 or whenever. I mean, usually it's 11 o'clock or so. They stay and they sweep floors. They help me take out the trash. I mean, and they're volunteers. And that's why I put that picture up, because Justina Gibson is an amazing, amazing woman. She's got more health issues than most of us in here probably combined. She's had more surgeries. She is in pain, constant pain with her back. You can notice it if you see her bent over walking, but man, she's a worker. Here's some of our other people that work, and these pictures are fairly old. And I know that because the man sitting there in the blue shirt, that's Brother Orrin Parrish. Orrin is now he doesn't drive any longer. This was when he was still able to come out and work at Gospel Tracks. Orrin is, I think, 98 or 99. And he now staples from his house. In fact, I took him 2 boxes Friday night. I took 2 boxes over to his house because he folds he staples probably 1 to 2 boxes himself per week. Okay? And unfortunately for me, he lives on the 3rd floor at an assisted living facility in Springdale, and I don't have the patience to wait on the elevator. It's a chore. It's a work. Carrying 2 boxes up, bring them back down, all that. But I love. Let me tell you what I love about Brother Parrish. Besides his heart, is I get a chance to just be inspired by him because he's still working it. And, he's been widowed 2 times because he's lived so long, and he still comes our church man picks him up every Sunday at Center Street. He comes every Sunday. He'd come every Wednesday if we drive a man on Wednesdays. He'd come on Wednesday. I mean, he's just phenomenal volunteer. J.C. Sell, Jerry Henson, the guy in the very back, Jerry Henson has actually developed some of our children's tracks. He's actually kind of an amateur artist, and he does work. I don't think I had that one on there, but you'll see some of those children's tracks here in just a moment. But of course, the ladies there are several ladies there that are. Most of those ladies are still very active. Do I have a pointer on this thing? That's the pointer. I got to show you this. Lady right there. That's Melba Rogers. Melba's in her 90s. She comes out every Thursday, and just a joy to see. She's the sweetest lady you'll ever meet. She comes out and she'll count, put rubber bands on, and things of that nature. So I'm telling you this because there's no age limit. You don't get too old to work, okay? And we had a youth activity set up for our youth group to come out. At Center Street was going to come out and do some stapling, which was going to be great. I was so excited about it. And we had to cancel it because I had a trip planned to Greece. And believe it or not, even though I applied for my passport back in December, the federal government didn't get it to me. So I had to make an emergency trip to Houston, Texas on Sunday when we were planning to do this work night before I was leaving for Greece on Thursday. So I couldn't be helped. So anyway, we're going to do that. We're going to have them back out, have pizza. Our board members have agreed about it. So if your youth group wants to come out and do a work get together, we'll buy them pizza and come out and work, and it's just an easy time of fellow. Again, you don't got to get all sweaty. You don't got to get, like our kids, dread doing that sometimes. Okay, moving on here. They're packing the boxes. I'm going to move on past that. You can kind of see in the background there the shelves back there. That's the ones that we have that we keep constantly stocked there. Those are the boxes that we send. Again, we can fit about 2,500 tracks in one box, okay? And we send those out. Each month, we box them, put them up on a pallet. We have a company in Milwaukee that actually can ship them to all the countries we deal with through customs and all that stuff cheaper than we can do it through just simply through FedEx or through the U.S. Postal Service. So which is kind of cool. It takes a little bit more work to do that. Not really. We box them up, we call them, they come pick them up, we load them. We got a little hand forklift. We load them up in the truck, and they take them back to Milwaukee. We've already got the addresses on them, and then they take them. And so that's what we do each month, generally speaking. And I'll come back to that in just a second as to why I say generally speaking. We also, this is something that was started a few years ago. There's an organization called Mission Printing down near Dallas, in the Dallas area. And those big shipping containers, they do some printing as well, and they will send, I think this year they're planning to send either 4 or 5 containers shipped to one location on a cargo ship overseas. And so one location is going to go to the coast of Liberia. One was going to go over to Malawi, I believe, and I can't remember the other 2. Anyway, they let Gospel Tracts, they let us just take some down there to them and ship them for free. So we pack up 100 boxes, and we got a couple of volunteers that will take those 100 boxes down there. So each time they take a shipment, we get 100 boxes for free that we get to throw in those containers. And it's a much cheaper way, but the containers cost a lot of money. Now we give them, I think we give, because they're so gracious to do that for us, as a gift, as a way to defer their cost, we give them, I think $500 each time that we do that, just to defer that. So we don't, they're scratching our back and we're scratching theirs. We're giving them something. It's not just something for nothing. David Ballard's a preacher in Paris, Texas, and he was up here just recently, and I took that picture of him. We sent everything we had printed. We had 28,000 French tracts. I said Malawi, didn't I? I'm sorry, it wasn't Malawi, it's Cameroon. That's the next shipment going. Cameroon and Chad, where they speak a lot of French. He said, whatever French stuff you got, give it to me and I'll take it with me. So we sent him those tracts, and so then we had to start reprinting the French. We also do this. This is where you guys can help too. We have Bibles and songbooks. If you've got old Bibles from old family members or stuff you find at garage sales or whatever, we send them. Please don't throw them away. If you'll call me or call Mary, and Mary can call me, I'll come pick them up. This is Sister Barb Parsley, her husband Ron Parsley, who preached at Winslow. This was just a few months back. She finally, of course he died a few years ago, but she finally got around and could come to grips with, start to cleaning out his library. And so she donated his library to Gospel Tracts. And so here you see Brother Bill Rogers. He was in one of those other pictures. I think he's actually related. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, Bill's a member of Mountain Grove. He comes out every Thursday. So we went over there and loaded up, 15 or 20 boxes of his entire library. Commentaries, Bibles, study material, and so all that stuff. We get it and then we kind of go through it and we try to send it to different folks. And then so I wanted you to see that picture because we're making use. Brother Parsley is still doing mission work, even though he has left this earth. We send the quarterly publication. I would encourage you guys, if you are not on our mailing list, I'll show you here in just a moment how you can sign up for a mailing list, either through email or through snail mail. We send this out. This is probably other than the shipping, this is our big expense because we send these out through the U.S. Postal Service, and it's pretty expensive. So, but we talk about our it's a newsletter. Okay, enough said. The cool thing that I like about it that I never really understood is everybody knows what a memorial is. And you can do a memorial if someone in your family, you lose a family member or a friend, and you just want to do something nice for that family that's lost a loved one. You can donate $5. You can mail a check for $5, and in their name, we will list their name in our publication, and we will send that family a letter saying, Marion Bailey donated money in honor of your X, Y, or Z. And I think that's really cool because flowers die, and I'm not saying don't send flowers, but we have certain people that in the brotherhood, every time a member of the church dies, they'll send a check for $5, $10, $15, $20, and that's it's serving two purposes, isn't it? It's doing mission work, and it's also sharing some love with someone who's lost someone. So when Brother Randall's wife passed away, Sister Georgia, we still got memorials coming in on her behalf, and your name will be listed as will her name in our seeker next deal. Okay, so let's get into real quick. What do I got? 5 minutes? What time we stop? 15 after? Pretty less than 5. Okay. Well, y'all know the Great Commission. I'm going to talk more about that in my sermon, so we'll skip on. There's some guys using the tracks there. They use them for adult Bible classes. I want to show you some children. Well, this guy right here. Okay, this guy here, Brother Wycliffe Adwari, he lives in Kenya. As far as I can tell, on our records that I inherited, he has baptized with him and his team 62 different individuals since 2014. And that's just a picture of him recently receiving just a small thing that we sent him. And he, there April 2nd, just here a couple weeks ago, he baptized 16 people. This guy here in Nigeria, Matthias, he's baptized 59 since 2014 that I can locate. And you can see, I mean, it's not a baptistry, is it? It's just a little creek. Another gentleman in Nigeria, he has a preacher training school. That's where we send our stuff to them for the preacher training school. They use, and then they take those tracts that we send in mass, and then those preachers are training to be preachers, go out and hand out the literature, and then they set up studies and so forth. This guy, I got to tell you about him, Gayfrin Shumba. This is a man that you guys may or may not know. Back in 2011, he's got a children's Bible school that he has, and y'all actually sent him $500. And then I think when Luke was still here as a youth minister, maybe the youth group, knowing about this guy, raised some money and sent that to him. And I found he's baptized 30 that I know of. Okay, so that's Farmington. That's what y'all are responsible for helping Brother Gayfrin. This is his school there. It's called the Emma Zweeney Bible School. That's a pretty recent picture of the children in his Bible school. And then here you have them. That's Brother Gayfrin in the back there. And you see the kids holding these Heroes for God tracts that we send. These are kind of motivational with Bible. They have a Bible story, and then they have some parallels. And that's just some of his kids there. Oh, let me go back. That just for kids. That's one of the children's tracts too. That they don't have a lot of stuff to use in school, so they can use those for coloring books. Okay, Win a Broom. Each tract passed out 12 times before it's going to be worn out. He was a Brotherhood missionary back in the 70s, and so they still use them there because they don't all have internet. Okay, so I've already talked about how you can help. I've already talked about Brother Parrish stapling from his assisted living facility. Donations, volunteering, and then I want to mention this last thing. So in the Philippines, we started this new work that we've become associated with. We can send 200 boxes. We've already got them boxed and ready to go, and for $2,860, and that's about 10% of what it would cost to send 200 boxes. That's roughly 10% of what it usually costs. Because we have a connection, we got a person in Manila, Arkansas. They've got a company, and they deal strictly with Philippines. So that's our latest goal right now, that we need to get those things shipped, if you can help with that. If you want to scan our QR code to get on our website, that's up there if you want to take a picture of that. Of course, my email's up here, my phone number's there. We have an office number. You can get that also from the website. I want to say, again, thank you for letting me come and talk about gospel tracts. Thank you for what you're doing for the kingdom of God. Now we'll dismiss.